What is happening, everybody? Welcome to it. We got another Sunday Blitz. It's week 13 already, believe it or not. That means we're in the home stretch, guys. That means we're right down to the end of the season. We are getting there. We are getting there hopefully sooner and in better shape, and most of us are in the playoffs. I know that I myself, I'm probably about, I'd call it about 75-30 or so. As far as teams that I got making it in there, I guess that's a bad percentage. 75-25, we'll call it, instead of 105%. But yes, so I knew the math teacher was getting ready to jump on me. And speaking of the math teacher, what is happening? Justin, my man, how are we doing this morning, this fine Sunday?
Man, my kids are e-learning for the last few weeks of school, so I'll be honest with you, I'm so far away from school right now because they ain't doing crap at home. So
yeah, no, it's unfortunate, man. That whole I still can't. I mean, I live in Florida, so we didn't even follow the protocols right the first time. So I mean, why start now? On the very left here, we got my man Alex. How are we doing today, Alex?
Doing well. Getting ready for this. You know, we're almost the fantasy playoffs, which is absolutely insane. I can't believe how fast this season has gone. Even just this year, 2021, 2020 was so long, sitting at home the whole time. And then 2021 came and it was like gone. And the whole year is just gone already. I can't believe we're this far along, but
it's funny because I'm still having a tough time remembering to put 2021 on like forms and stuff like that. I'm like, wait a minute, is it 2021? I'm like, dude, it's already almost 2022. I need to get on top of that. Make sure you guys follow us. You know what to do as far as all that fun stuff goes. Like, subscribe, hit bells, hit whistles, call us, get in our pockets, get on the Patreon, do whatever you got to do. But we're not gonna waste your time with all that. We're just gonna get right down to it. We got our man Justin in here. Says we talked about it in the Patreon. He's one of our favorite guys in there. He's picked up Alex Collins off waivers. So now, should he start Bourne, Djax, Collins, or Jones Jr. at the flex? By the way, he missed us the last few weeks, and we missed you, Dustin. Where the hell have you been, man? We thought we were gonna have to send out dogs and stuff.
I thought Alex said something wrong.
I thought I did too. He really hasn't been around much, but
the way they go at it.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with Bourne here. Alex Collins does not change anything for me. I don't think he offers that much more than an 8-point floor, but definitely no upside. So I'm going to stick with Bourne here. I think that's still your best option, especially in these must-win weeks going into the playoffs here. I'm looking for I'm trying to squeeze every last little bit of points out of these guys. So, and Bourne has been now, that game is going to be kind of windy on a Monday night, but I don't know. I just don't really trust any of those other guys. And Bourne has been lighting it up. So, I still think he has the best chance for a touchdown. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think Collins might have like a 6 to 8 point floor maybe. But just like you said, there's no real upside. I think Bourne has that same floor, but with much better upside. And then Djax is all upside with zero floor. So that's way too much risk there. I think I agree with you there. I'm going to go with Bourne.
I think I like Bourne here too. But I do like Jones Jr. a little bit as well. With everybody missing over there in Jacksonville, I do like Jones Jr. as a play. Collins, I'm not a big fan of. I don't think he's going to do anything. Bourne will be in some nasty weather, so you be paying attention to that as well. That's kind of why I'm kind of on the fence between him and Jones Jr. But it's 2-1 Bourne. Man, so we were just giving you a hard time about not being here, man. But that's the worst right there. That's like losing actual family members is sometimes a little bit better than missing your pets, man. Losing your pets is the toughest. So we definitely miss you. Our hearts go out to you, man. Definitely sad, man. The dogs, that's the worst, man. Like I said, like kids who listen is what I always say. And I love pets. I love animals and everything. Yeah, it's rough. I'm sorry to hear that. That's the worst. The absolute worst. I guess it's kind of hard to push on from after that, but we're going to go ahead.
Let's try to pick this back up.
We're going to try to help at Diana and see right here. She needs full PPR flex advice. She's got Pittman, Ayuk, Javonte Williams, or Jamal Williams hanging out. Who do we got, guys? Who we flexing?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Justin. You start with this one.
It's a full PPR, and she's only flexing one of these. I think it's Javonte Williams with Gordon out. I think this is his chance. He's going to finally get the full brunt of the opportunity, and I think he'll take full advantage of it. I think he's the most talented player in this group of four, and that's with me being a Colts fan that is a huge Michael Pittman fan. Javonte is that good. I really do believe he's that good. So I'm going to fire up Javonte Williams, and I'll be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, this is a good problem to have, especially going into the playoffs, this kind of depth.
Oh yeah.
I'm with you. I think Pittman would be my second, but Ayuk, now that Debo's out, this is when Ayuk last year was putting up some serious numbers.
Sure.
But they didn't quite have the same runners that they have this year. They love Elijah Mitchell. They have been just handing it to him 25 times a game. And if they can win it that way, that's how they're going to win it. And that matchup doesn't seem, super tough against the Seahawks. So if they can keep it on the ground, I think that's what they'll do. So I'm going to go with Javonte Williams as well. It's a very close second with Pittman. But sorry, everybody. That was not me. But I'll say sorry for the rest of us.
That's me. My phone is off, and I still cannot get the text messages from dinging on my computer. So my students go several weeks without logging in at all, and then all of a sudden they have questions for me on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Teacher's time, man. Teacher's time's worthless. And Dustin, don't worry about it, man. We love you. We definitely feel you. It's we could just go on for days about how we feel about our own animals and things like that. We could just dedicate the whole damn show to it. So we're with you, man, 100%. We're definitely feeling for you. We got our man Uncle Steve. What's happening, Uncle Steve? How we doing this morning? We got him in. That means it's Sunday. That means it's officially Sunday. We're going to help out Juicy Jordan, Kyle Pitts, Everett, or Ingram. Full point PPR today.
I think I'm going to have to stick with Pitts. Ingram is not very good. Everett has been getting more looks since Russell Wilson has come back from that finger injury. But he's another week removed, so hopefully he can, get a little bit more accurate down the field, and that'll lead more, feed more into Lockett and Metcalf. But I think I'm going to stick with Kyle Pitts, though. They're going up against Tampa Bay. I know they got Murphy Bunton back, but it's still a pretty depleted secondary. So, and they're going to have to put up points, against that Buccaneer team. So I'm sticking with Pitts. I don't see how you could really sit him for those, for those two guys.
Yeah, definitely Pitts for me as well. And to me, I think it's not even that close. But if you add in the fact that I'm starting the Tampa Bay Bucks defense in a lot of redraft leagues, Pitts is going to go off.
Yeah, I mean, they're out of options there too. I mean, you're just getting to places and points where you really kind of got to start seeing what you got in a guy. I don't really like first-year tight ends, but Kyle Pitts has definitely proved me wrong on the first-year tight end. He's looked really, really good. He's looked really getting good targets, good target share, especially red zone targets and things like that. So for me, he's a little bit of a lean there.
As far as first-year wide receivers go, he is a good first-year tight end.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and tight ends don't usually do good until year 3 in typical.
No, if he was strictly a wide receiver, I think he'd have even better of a year. But you got it. It takes a little bit to get used to playing in line sometimes, or just playing, just off the line in the slot there. But yeah, no, he's done not quite as good as I think we all thought he might do, but I still think he's tearing it up as a rookie.
It's this Nate guy, whoever this is, says, making names up in the chat, says Skycam Mike Glennon is not a quarterback he wants to lean on. And whoever you are, Nate, I absolutely agree with that comment right there. That's actually our man Nate from the show there. At Too Much Tyler 13 says, I know I'll probably get dragged for this one, but should he start Najee Harris or Elijah Moore today? Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I think you go with Najee Harris.
Yeah, you have to.
It would be a lot closer, I think, if Flacco was playing than Zach Wilson, as crazy as that sounds, because Flacco fed, more for that week that he was in there. But I don't trust Zach Wilson nearly as much. And I love that Elijah Moore was coming on. He was my guy this offseason. He was my rookie wide receiver, but I don't think you can sit Harris for him.
Yeah, and also there's a good chance that it might rain pretty heavily towards the end of that Pittsburgh game, so that's going to take away what little passing game they might still have with Ben. I don't think that it got out there quite deep enough. I read like one notification, one quick little excerpt on it, but I guess Big Ben is saying that this is likely his last season. He's probably hanging the helmet up after this season. So I think we all kind of felt that, but I just thought it was kind of odd that he would drop it now and then like nobody's really talking about that. Like I think even he is starting to realize that he doesn't have it anymore. It's over, and they're going to have to lean heavily on that run game if they even want to have a shot to do anything.
Well, he's saying that now. His arm was saying that about 5 years ago.
Right.
he was saying, no, I don't think I had that much more in me. And yeah, for me, Najee Harris, that's your volume play. He looked really bad last week. I don't really anticipate that that's going to keep up. They have to run this offense through him if they're going to win. And there's just almost no doubt about it.
Yeah, that seemed like his outlier game of the season because he's been tearing it up otherwise. So
Nate's probably more accurate than my exaggerated number of 5, 2 years too late, but his year definitely, his arm 2 years ago was definitely saying, let's go fishing. Let's turn this into fishing. Next one up, we got X Mighty Metke says Vikings DST at the Lions or Chiefs defense against the Broncos.
You got to go with the Vikings because Goff is playing.
Yeah, I think I'd go with the Vikings as well, especially since DeAndre Swift is out. So there goes all of your yards, basically.
Passing and rushing.
Yeah, so I definitely think the Vikings have the cake matchup there.
I like them too, but I do have to say, like, I did grab Chiefs defense in a lot of leagues where I had to where I'm flex or running streaming defenses on. And so the Chiefs against the Broncos is also a pretty good opportunity. But yeah, give me the team that's throwing to Goff every time because that guy's guaranteed at least one interception, usually 2. So, and most of the time he can throw a decent pick 6. We got tweet says, do I start Lamar and chance him getting me 9 points or say screw it and start Cousins this week? And if you guys don't know, that's how you say that in Yiddish. Like just right there. So
is that what it is?
In Yiddish. Well, Cousins is playing against Detroit. I mean, I like the matchup mostly because I like the field possession more than anything. I don't think you necessarily see Cousins get a lot of yards this week, but he definitely has that really high touchdown upside that we're not seeing with Lamar right now. So I don't hate it. I would probably roll with Cousins.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to sit Lamar Jackson for Cousins. I understand the dilemma, but I don't think that Pittsburgh run defense, TJ Watt's out again. So, I think I'd still roll with Lamar because I think, and maybe he doesn't even have the higher upside the way Cousins has been playing this year, especially against Detroit. Maybe I'm talking myself into Cousins here, but that's a hard one to try to put in. When you click Cousins into the spot for Lamar, you're going to be like, but
don't forget too that Lamar at Pittsburgh late in the game, like we said earlier, could be a pretty heavy rain.
But then it's just going to turn into him on the ground, so because running in the rain isn't, is what you do, so.
Right. And I would love to see more of the running Lamar. I really would. We haven't seen it this year like we have in the past, and I think it's affecting his entire game, not just fantasy purposes.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that the defense isn't quite as stout as it's been, it's a lot harder to play that ball control game that they like to do with him on the ground when you don't have a defense that can stop anybody, everybody. So, but yeah, I'd be all right with starting Cousins or Lamar. I think it's a 6 on one, half dozen the other. That's tough. That's real tough. What say you, Mike?
So for me, I'm with you. It's definitely hard to sit Cousins the way he's been playing football, and it's really hard to not want to sit Lamar the way he's been playing the past couple of weeks as well. It just seems like he's got such a weird confidence issue game in and game out. This guy should be able to go out there and know that he's got these constant good weapons. I think the lack of a running game to lean on is really starting to hinder him. I mean, when you got Devonta Freeman going in there and punching touchdowns instead of Lamar Jackson, something ain't right in Baltimore. So for me, I have to go with Cousins here. He hasn't done anything for me to let me down. And Lamar's just been too hit or miss. And I mean, it was just a matter of consistency for me. And for me, Cousins is the more consistent person on that team. And so Steve says Lamar, no question. So you got everybody kind of on the fence on that question. It's definitely a good problem to have right there. But I just, sit Lamar's tough, but I just can't do it. Kissing Cousins.
And now Nate says Cousins. So I think we have more votes for Cousins though. So
well, he says he says that it's because of the Lions' slow defense, but I think it's really because he wanted to be able to type in kissing Cousins.
Right. And Golden Corral, because that's his thing.
Yeah.
we got Steve asking, Frankensteak League, do we start Tevin Coleman or Dallas Goedert?
I believe Tevin Coleman, I just picked him up in 2 leagues this morning to start. He's a starting running back. Why not? There's like a 3-back committee back there now with that no-name rookie that got the touchdown last week, Walter or whatever.
Austin Walters.
Austin Walter, yeah. And Dallas Goedert's been playing really well, but in Frankenstein, it's kind of hard to pass up a starting running back because you get the points, all kinds of different points for rushing attempts and I don't know about first downs for running backs, but I know.
No, first downs are only tight ends.
Gotcha.
That's why I was going to say Dallas Goedert, because Minshew's going to be in the game. So they'll probably stick with the running game like they've been doing. They have, the best running game in the league right now, actually. Mm-hmm. But with Minshew in there, I feel like the little bit of passing that they're going to do is going to be a little bit more efficient. And I think Goddard will get, some more looks because Minshew knows, how to move the ball down the field. Like he's a competent, backup. He's definitely a backup, but I think he's a better passer than Jalen Hurts. So yeah, I would go with Dallas Goedert, I think.
And I think that you're more confident in Dallas Goedert than I am in Tevin Coleman. So I think you swayed me. Well, let's go Dallas.
Yep, I'm 3 for Dallas right there too. I think it's a good point. I think Dallas Goedert is probably actually going to do pretty good today because Gardner does like his tight end. Let's see. We got Edie Infamous says Ayuk or Van Jefferson half PPR. Who we playing today? And for me, I'm going to lead this one off. I think I'm going to go with Ayuk. I think I've seen enough of with Odell Beckham getting involved in there. There were Van Jefferson starting to fade on me a tiny bit. He will still get his involvement, but I don't like him being the number 3 receiver on a team when I'm probably going to have a number 1 Ayuk coming out there today. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. Out of these 2 options, I'm still not huge on Ayuk, but with Debo out, he definitely gets a big bump, and he is starting to come around again. So I think I've seen enough to start him in certain situations. I think this would be one of those situations.
Yep, 3 for 3. I'll take Ayuk. Especially since the Rams are playing Jacksonville, they probably don't have to do too much. You might miss out on a long bomb touchdown for Van Jefferson, but I'd rather take the volume play on Ayuk than with Van Jefferson. The chance with Van Jefferson.
Absolutely agree there too. At Bug Guy 17, and so I'm really going to help you out, Bug Guy, because I'm a Bug Guy too. We need 2 of these. 5. So we're going to be we're going to just be picking 2 of these 5. So we're sitting 3. We got Renfro, Ayuk, Williams, Mooney, or Brown.
Whew. So they're all the same.
They really almost are, right? Like you might as well just almost dart throw this one. But for me, I'm sitting Renfro and Brown just because of what I'm seeing out of these other 3 guys. Once again, I'm not sitting a 3 for a 1. Where I feel like Ayuk will be coming out the gate today.
We need to sit 3. You need to. See, and personally, I think Renfro was my immediate. That's the guy, just because he's been a PPR monster, and they're gonna need with I know Djax is there now, but Djax doesn't excite me whatsoever. But with Waller out, I feel like Renfro is going to be the main target there. But those are some serious options you got going in there. But I think for me, it's going to be Renfro and Marquise Brown.
Yeah, and it kind of upsets me sometimes to see people downgrade Renfro just because Djax is there, just because he's only going to get like 3 or 4 targets the entire game anyway. And just because he might get a 60-yard touchdown doesn't mean Renfro's not still going to get his. But at the same time, I feel like I have to start Ayuk and Mike Williams in this situation just because of the sheer upside. I think for me it's yeah, Rich says Renfro.
That cracked me up, man. I saw that right there.
We don't even know where Rich is at right now, or anything. But he's so yeah. I'm gonna start Ayuk and Mike Williams just because the upside for the touchdown upside and the PPR upside. I think both of them are very likely to do well in both of those aspects. Mooney and Renfro are really close right there.
And that's actually the two I'm starting is Mooney and Renfro. I really like those two guys out of this list the most to be able to get the job done. Like Alex was pointing out with Waller out, that really puts Renfro up. Renfro's already been getting a lot of volume, and exactly, Nate, the red zone that he's been seeing right there. That's right there. And Mike Williams does have good upside, but for me, Ayuk is the number one over there in San Francisco today. I think as much as I don't like playing anybody from San Francisco, I don't mind playing the wide receiver one and the running back one for the team. And most of the times, like this year with Deebo Samuels, it's paid off dividends. And so I don't see why Ayuk can't go out there and get himself like a maybe 5 or 6 for 120 and a touchdown. Doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility at all. So hopefully we helped you out there, Bug Guy. Probably didn't because we gave you like 12 answers.
Well, we did
call any Pats fans. He says more at fantasy. Yeah, at Fantasy Football Help, we got Michelle, Stevenson, and Cooks. We need 2. Who are we sitting out of this bunch?
Give me the running backs.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd go with too.
Yep, I think Sony Michel was tough, but I think I like Sony Michel as a volume play over Cooks for sure. So
right. With Henderson out, I mean he might get you 20 touches for 35 yards, but if one of them happens to be a touchdown and 4 of those touches are receptions, and it's especially if it's PPR, I mean, it's a decent floor.
Yeah,
I'm really, 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 really sad that Ramondre Stevenson is playing on Monday night, and I can't get him on my DFS main slate today because that guy should be fire, popping hot tomorrow night. That game should be done mostly through the ground. I see a lot of people worried about the weather over there for that Buffalo game, and they're worried about Josh Allen. And I can just tell you, Josh Allen went to Wyoming for 4 years. This is like a breezy Sunday afternoon is all it's going to be for him out there. It's going to be.
But are we sure that Stevenson is actually playing, or is he going to be another healthy scratch of Bill Belichick again at the last minute on a Monday night?
You always got to watch that. You always have to watch that with Bill Belichick. Damian Harris gets a huge uptick if that happens, but I think Bill Belichick will be watching the weather too, and I imagine it'll be all hands on deck for any running backs. I think you'll see Bolden active. I think you'll see the trio this week.
But I think they still get enough work, both Harris and Stevenson, to be worth it. Because I agree. I don't think Mac Jones has the arm to cut through the wind like Josh Allen does. So I think they're gonna just keep it on the ground and pound it. Snap after snap after snap.
Try to keep it out of Josh Allen's hands as much as they can too. Yeah, nope, absolutely. This game has running game. I even like Breida a little bit here in this game because I think he'll. Call it what you will. Like I said, I was talking trash about Wyoming. He'll be fine out there, but it's really hard to throw a football in 60-mile-an-hour winds. Man, right. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. So we got Chris's video says Lockett, DK, or Parker.
He got my answer earlier because I was logged in and watching a Cup of Joe this morning when he asked it. So he's got my answer, but I'll give you mine in a minute since he already knows mine.
Yeah. As much as he has been kind of stinking it up lately, I don't think I can sit DK for either of those guys. I think DK would be my play. Hopefully Russell Wilson's another week removed from that finger injury. He was pretty close on I know he didn't target him much last week, but his other throws, he was right there. They were just off by a little bit, here and there. So hopefully, especially after a one catch, one target game for DK, they, decide, hey, maybe we should try to get it in his hands, a couple different ways, maybe do a wide receiver screen or, get it to him over the middle instead of trying to go everything outside. So I think they get it, try to get it right with DK this week. So.
Yeah. I actually said Lockett just because the more consistency for this season. So without the running game, I do still I feel all of the same, exactly what you just said. I feel like that consistency for Lockett is more of a play for me.
My hesitancy on Lockett all depends on Russ Wilson. So if Russell Wilson's out there playing football, I really like Lockett. I like DK usually a little bit more, but this year it's kind of just been kind of the opposite as far as volume and targets. They've all been kind of going Lockett's way, even kind of the shorter to mid stuff that used to go DK's way. I can see DK getting the 3 to 4 catches, but I can see Lockett making this a 7 to 10, being the higher volume receiver on that team. We got Edie Infamous saying Damian Harris or Darrell Williams PPR.
It's Harris for me. It's not even close with CEH being back and like we've already talked about for that running game in that New England game. So I'm going to go with Harris.
Yep. I'm with Harris too.
Yep. I'm on the Harris side of things too. Like I said, I want anything to do with the running game in that game tomorrow night. Because again, like when we have the conditions that we're going to be having, and even though Nate's right, he says Josh Allen could still throw a 70-yard rocket into 160-mile-an-hour breeze. That's what we call that from Wyoming. That's just a breeze. We don't name them like they do in the other places that are coastal and things like that. But he'll be fine out there again. But I see it being a high run volume game. Dustin says Bolden or Mike Davis. He has Chubb on bye and Michael Carter is injured. Dude, Michael Carter injury still hurts me. It hurts me.
Oh, this is a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to go with Bolden. Yeah, because Mike Davis is a bum this year, so he's out there for a ton of snaps, and he's on the field, but he's not getting any work because Cordell Patterson every time Cordell Patterson's on the field, he gets the ball. So
and the touchdown.
Yeah. So, and like we were saying, I'd rather have a piece of the Monday night game running backs than Mike Davis. I think I'd rather have almost anybody over Mike Davis.
I think I would rather play Chubb on a bye than almost either one of these guys. I sat there and I said I'd want a piece of any running back game, and Dustin says I raise you Bolden, and I'm like, damn it, I might not be as high into him as the volume play for anything else on that game, but compared to Mike Davis, I can't play Mike Davis with any confidence. He's looked terrible. He's been terrible. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
I've seen a lot of different analysts out there that have kind of been stating that they think Bolden could potentially have a sneaky good game just because of the conditions like we've been talking about, but also with the style of game that they need to play with the dump off passes. He very likely could be involved in that passing game, playing from behind against Buffalo and that sort of thing, more so even than Stevenson and possibly even Harris, because just because of the game flow. And if that sets up the way I'm talking, then Bolden would be the play here for sure. And then we might be upset about all the Stevenson advice that we've been given today.
Fair enough. You definitely want to monitor that. And if you can have both, I'm pretty sure that Bolden has a pretty low ownership percentage as far as that goes. So if you do have Ramondre Stevenson and you're waiting for that cue, go out there, maybe drop a defense or something that you stocked up on and grab Bolden as well. Because I agree, honestly, I was kidding around when I said that. Bolden actually might be a pretty decent little volume play there as well. Chris's video says Jacobs or Connor today.
That's a good one.
So do you want volume or touchdowns?
Yeah. Well, and Jacobs, if they get into the red zone, if they get to that 5-yard line, he gets, the look there. So especially with Waller being, being out because he's usually but Renfro's been the red zone guy this year. But that's been like when they're just getting into the red zone, when they still have some room to play with. Renfro's been, getting free a little bit and getting those touchdowns, but that's another good problem to have. Cause I like both of those guys, but I think I'd have to go with Connor. I think that's my guy. He's with Edmonds out, Kyler's coming back. So that should take some attention off of the run game. But even with like the last couple of weeks with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins out, Connor's still been chugging away and, getting, good size volume, good piece of volume, and still getting touchdowns somehow. So it's hard for me to sit Connor until he, gets hurt or something.
Yeah, and Connor is playing the Bears, and then Jacobs is playing against Washington. And now Washington, their run defense the last few weeks has actually picked up pretty decent. They're playing much better than they did at the start of the season. I will say that they're coming off of a short week, and because I believe they played Monday Night Football last week, and then flying all the way cross country. Usually that doesn't bode well for bad teams, like for teams like that. And unfortunately, Washington, they are kind of a bad team this year. So it's real tempting to start Jacobs there, but I feel like that touchdown upside for Connor is too much for me to pass up against the Bears.
Yeah, no, I'm there too. I like Connor a lot. I think Connor's been getting the lion's share of the volume in that offense. Edmonds being on IR only sweetens that deal a lot more for me. So for me, I'm there. Chris's videos also ask, is any of you guys ever finished 14-0? I got a dynasty team that's going to finish probably 14-0 this year. I mean, I guess 14-1 because I lost one game by 0.12. So that's the closest I've been this year. But as far as seasons go, like the very first year, I played a really odd form of fantasy because fantasy wasn't really a thing yet. It was just kind of a thing people did on paper and things like that. But so when I actually first got into fantasy on an app or anything like that, the very first year of my draft, I drafted Peyton Manning at the 101. And this is like before quarterbacks, before Superflex. So, I mean, just terrible, right? Well, this is the year that Peyton Manning was, in fact, the number one fantasy football player of the season. And I went 14-0 and won the championship that year. I was just loaded. I mean, Peyton Manning would go out there and throw about 30, 40 points every single game. It was a standard league. It was awesome. So I did the very first time I tried it out, this type of fantasy, I went 14-0 and won it all. How about you guys?
Well, considering this is the first time that you could go 14-0.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I was thinking. I was also adding playoffs and Super Bowl and everything like that.
Oh, yeah, that would be like 16-0 or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I was kind of confused about that too. I'm like,
no, the closest I've ever gotten was actually last year. I went 11-2 in the regular season. I had Rodgers, Adams, Stack, and just carried me right through it. And I had James Robinson and who else? I had Allen Robinson, who was really good, and like AJ Brown. I had a stacked team. So I went 11-2, and then I lost in the semis because my whole team just decided to do nothing. Like nothing.
That happens more often than not. Like I said, I've got one of those glory stories, and that's it.
I have several different stories, but I do have one team in particular that I ran roughshod all season long. I pulled a Patriots against the Giants in the championship game. I had an undefeated team that lost in the title game. I once had a 6-7 team that barely squeaked into the playoffs. That I was still able to just have a good run in the playoffs and win the championship. And then of course, same as Mike, before Superflex and especially before the late round quarterback model came out and that sort of stuff, it was more. I had one season where I drafted Tom Brady late in the first, and it was the season that he went down in the first quarter of the first game against the Chiefs. But I also drafted Steve Slayton that year in the last round. And I believe it was Arian Foster that got hurt in the preseason that gave Slayton the start just after our draft. And Slayton had his one and only golden season that carried me into a title game, and I won that year. But so, yeah, it was absolutely crazy. That's when I realized that late round quarterbacks were the way to go, because I was streaming quarterbacks all season and had that one stud running back that carried my team. So and redraft every since then. That's the only way I go.
Heck yeah. No, that's how you do it. You learn every season as you go. We got Dustin back getting us back into the groove here. Dustin Hetcher says, and that's our guy, Dustin, Henry, Doyle, or Goddard at tight end? Go Dirt for me.
That's tough.
It's close. I like Henry a lot too here, but
yeah, Henry's been a touchdown, pretty consistent with the touchdowns. They like him in the red zone there. I think I'm going to have to go Henry, even though I think Goddard's going to have a good day. But I think Henry has it's hard to deny the fact that he's had touchdowns in most weeks. So I'd rather shoot for the touchdown upside than, especially because the Eagles they're running the ball constantly. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Henry.
Yeah, so typically I like that constant touchdown upside from a tight end, but I gotta feel like that regression has got to hit him soon. I honestly think that Doyle's going to have a huge game this week against Houston. I think that's a great matchup for them, but unfortunately they split tight ends too much there for me to like that consistency. But again, we keep talking about that game setup for that Patriots game, and I think short passes might be the way to go for Mac Jones. So I think I'm probably going to go ahead and give the edge between Goddard and Henry. I'm going to go ahead and give that edge to Henry as well, but it is extremely close. And just because I think that a touchdown regression is going to happen with Henry doesn't mean it's going to happen. So until it does, you got to keep playing the hot hand. That's why we still keep starting Cordarrelle Patterson, right?
and James Conner. I've been waiting for Conner to fall off, and he hasn't. So I
feel like Conner typically is.
It'll be next season when we're drafting him in the second round everywhere, and he comes back down to earth.
There you go. We got Sleek asking half PPR: Hopkins versus Van Jefferson, and Gesicki versus Hawkinson.
Gesicki, I like that.
Gesicki.
So we have to choose between which two? Like between Hoskins?
Yep, I think so. I think one on each here.
Yeah, one wide receiver and one tight end. That's what it looks like.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well, Hopkins is playing. They did say that he's playing. So if
Hopkins is playing, I'm playing him.
Yeah, you got to play him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And here's my frustration with Hawkinson. This dude, when he runs routes, he gets targets, and when he gets targets, he gets fantasy points. And when he gets fantasy points, he's usually scoring touchdowns. But he's been on that offensive line so much. They use him as a sixth offensive lineman because that gives them a total of 4 offensive linemen. Like, they really need him on the line. So he just doesn't go out and run routes like he should. It's so aggravating. But Gesicki's also been pretty inconsistent. He's been up and down all season. So I guess I'm going to have to go with Hawkinson. You drafted him a little higher, and you've been playing him, and he did score a touchdown last week. So that's my answer, Hopkins and Hawkinson.
It'll be Hopkins and Gesicki for me. Like all the stuff you said about Hawkinson, as much as we wanted him to be, this stud guy, but because he's that much of a threat in the passing game, when he does go out on a route, he's earlier in the season, which is maybe why they're having him block more. Earlier in the season, they were bracketing him because he was the only reliable or the only threat out there in the passing game. Right. So that was the beginning where he just wasn't getting targets because he wasn't open, and it wasn't anything against him. It's just they had 2 guys on him all the time, and it's hard to feed a guy like that. And Gesicki's actually been, I think his consistency lately hasn't been, great. He had that goose egg a couple weeks ago, and he only put up like 5 points last week or whatever. But, he earlier in the season, he was getting a lot of volume. And I think that's more of an, indicator of what is possible than just the recency bias of the last couple weeks. So I think I'd go with Gesicki, because Hawkins, he's just not getting the volume. He's not getting any volume,
In that game 2 weeks ago that you're talking about, I went back and watched it, and he had 6 routes ran that game. He only ran 6 routes, only had 1 target on 6 routes, and that was it. Every other play, He was on the line. He was doing crackback blocks. They had him blocking to the outside. They were doing screen passes to other receivers where he was maybe he technically got credit for a route on those, but he was clearly not the main guy, and he was supposed to run a rub route to try to free up a wide receiver. It was absolutely no Hawkinson. So it's with that kind of floor, it really scares me at the tight end position. So I can totally see a Gesicki start here.
Yep. See, and I feel like I like that start. I do like the fact that, or I don't like the fact how much Waddle's been gelling over there for Gesicki. As much as I like to say like Hawkinson should probably be the start here, I got to go with the team that I think is going to score more points here. Chris's videos also says limited D-Hop or Pittman Jr. And honestly, for me, it's anytime you're going to start D-Hop, we're starting D-Hop. How about you guys? I mean, I can't really think of too many guys that I'd start under D-Hop. If he's out there, I don't care.
Colts fan here. I'm going to start Pittman in this one. I think against Houston and Hopkins, just like he says, he is limited today. But I mean, he is going to play. It's not a bad start. Either one of them, you're going to do fine. But I want to enjoy my game, and if I think they're both going to be close, then I'm gonna lean towards my guy, which is Pittman.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Pittman too. As much as I'm with you with I'm with you with not sitting Hopkins.
I just can't take that. No, I just
can't. But no, I he doesn't sound like he's right yet. Like this, even them getting him on the field today, I think is mainly just because Murray's coming back, because they kept them both out this whole time. So now that Murray's back, they're like, all right, well, Hopkins, just get out there and kind of like the last game he played, just get out there and get some attention on you. Maybe we'll get a pass or two your way, but, and it's a hammy, which scares the hell out of me. All he's got to do is take, tweak it just a little bit, and then he's out again, or he's, just coming into, then he's purely a decoy, so, and Pittman's been, pretty fire lately. He's one of my favorite up and coming young wide receivers. So I got to go Pittman.
I really
it has been awesome seeing him develop. I really like Pittman, especially Dynasty, man. He's been fun to watch.
I realistically see about 40 yards and a touchdown at the top end for Hopkins today. And if that happens, I feel like Pittman will probably beat that against Houston.
Fair enough. So that's 2-1 Pittman versus D-Hop. James Walsh asks he needs a flex Gronk or Renfro PPR.
Ooh. I like that. I like the thought of starting Gronk in the flex right there. That's huge. So yeah, I mean, he's healthy. He's playing. If he's playing and he's healthy, he should be your starting tight end. So obviously you have a stud tight end to make this happen. So yeah, let's roll with Gronk.
Yeah, I'm with it. As much as I love Renfro, red zone Renfro, I'm in it with them, but Gronk has been a monster when he's healthy and out there, and we all know Tom Brady loves him. So, I think I'm going to go with Gronk here too.
Not
Fair
this
enough.
much.
I like Gronk here as well. Mike Smith says he's got to start too. Saquon, Hopkins, or Gibson today. Who we drop? Who we benching?
Yeah, I think with all the stuff we said with Hopkins, Saquon hasn't been quite himself, and Mike Lennon's going to be QB, which means they might lean on Saquon a little bit more. I think he edges out an injured Hopkins just a little bit more. I think Gibson's pretty much the must start here. So I'm going to go with Saquon and Gibson.
I absolutely need Saquon to bounce back and do something before the season ends, even if it's in the shit bowl for me in all of my leagues across the board. He really screwed me this year with that extra added ankle injury that he had. But I need it to be Saquon. I don't know, man. That's a tough one because, like I said, that if I realistically think 40 yards and a good potential touchdown, that's 10 points. So I gotta feel like Saquon's gonna beat that. So yeah, Gibson and Saquon for me too.
Yep, I like the volume play of the running back. I always try to lean running back any chance I get. So for me, it's going to be Saquon and Gibson as well. Our man Nate says he needs a flex and a wide receiver tight end. He's got some stellar options here. He's got Damian Harris, TJ Blockinson, Dawson's Creek Knox, Lat Murray, Kenny Gainwell, and Timmy Patrick. Ooh, that is kind of ugly, Nate. That is kind of ugly. Now, Damian Harris for me for flex, that's easy. That one I'm slam dunking in.
That's a lock.
Yeah, I actually don't think this is that hard. I think it's Damian Harris and Dawson's Creek for me. Because
I agree.
I can't. It's another one of those. He's getting touchdowns when he's on the field, and you can't look past that. And he has looked. He's that. He's a tight end in his third year now. He didn't get a lot of work in college, so now that he's finally getting the reps and getting in there, and he's built that rapport with Josh Allen, I think he's a good option for a touchdown this week. I think it's pretty easy for me, at least. Damian Harris and Dawson Knox.
I kind of like Lat Murray this week a little bit against Pittsburgh, but I think it's close enough that I can agree with Knox here, Nate, just so that we can blame Alex if it doesn't work out.
There you go. I agree with that. I like Damian Harris and Dawson's Creek Knox only because I want to be able to blame Alex if it's wrong. No, I actually really like Dawson Knox this week. Like we've been talking about all day, the weather over there is going to be compromising a lot of that passing game. So we're going to be looking at our shorter routes. When you talk about shorter routes, you're talking about the tight end. So give me Dawson Knox. I don't mind that move, not even a little bit. So let's see here. We got JH Viking. Who does he play in place of Rodgers? Heineke, Tyrod Minshew, or Teddy Bridgewater Tua? Teddy Bridgewater and Tua are the same person, by the way.
Just
it's one full name. Teddy Bridgewater Tua.
It's hyphenated.
He's very busy. He's a very busy man.
I think Tyrod might get some decent garbage time, especially on the ground against the Colts this afternoon. Minshew is the one that everybody loves that they want to start, but I think you have to go with Bridgewater. I think he's the one that's I mean, he's definitely going to be out there. He's so he's got the edge over Tua.
That's what you look for in a Broncos quarterback. We don't
know 100% for sure that Tua will be out there like they say he will be, but and then Tyrod, like he's just a needle away from sitting out at any point.
That's a shot. That wasn't his fault.
I'm going to go with Bridgewater. I think they're going to without Gordon there. I think that passing is going to be fine, but Javonte Williams also is wonderful out of the backfield, catching the ball as well. So give me Bridgewater.
Yeah, see, for me, it would probably be between Heineke and Tua. I'm a Tua stan though, so take it for what it is. It could be a little bias on my part, but he's also playing the Giants, whose defense hasn't been as good as I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be a lot better this year, and maybe that's just because the offense sucks and they can't get off the field. They're on the field all the time. So maybe that's part of it. I know they did have some injuries too. I know Blake Martinez is out and stuff. So, but I think I'm going Tua. I think
the likelihood of a mobile quarterback to score on the Giants is actually really high. So he does have that potential to run one in as well. So that gives him a little bit of an edge too. So
and Tua's been playing really well lately. Yeah. If you look at the numbers on like a macro scale for his for the season when he actually plays, he's actually been pretty good. Very, very good completion rate. The passing touchdowns haven't quite been there because they've been doing that stupid wildcat crap with Gaskins on the goal line. That's
better than when they were doing that stupid wildcat stuff on the goal line with Malcolm Brown, though.
Well, I don't know. I guess but yeah, no, I'm going to it here.
I see, and I feel like for me, I think Heineke's been really consistent. I think he's been he's got, to me, a lot better options to be thrown to, especially Logan Thomas coming back. For me, it's actually I'm leaning Heineke here. So we probably didn't help you with that because we got all three different answers.
I'm okay with Heineke though. That was definitely a close second for me. So
it was a close second for me as well. So maybe he's the guy.
Yeah.
There you go. And Nate Wallen even comes in and he says the car care bowl.
Oh, there you
Heineken,
go.
the Heineken or the Battle Hawk is a gamer. Law Hawk. It's Law Hawk. That's the Hawkinson though. Okay, so next question up. We got FF Burner 17 says, if Sony Michelle starts and Henderson is completely out, he needs to decide if they want to start Sony over Jalen Waddle in the flex. The return of Devontae Parker could muddy things up. No,
I don't think that'll muddy things up for
Right.
Waddle. He's been, now you're going to get 11 catches for 11 yards because everything's been at the line of scrimmage. But if it's a full PPR, I'm okay with that. Waddle has been super consistent. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Sony is going to be a volume play with Henderson out because we do know that he's completely out now. But I would be hard pressed to start Sony over Waddle with the way Waddle's been used in that offense.
Yeah, Waddle's been hot. He's been just getting target. I think he's actually the most. I think he's ran the most routes in the NFL right now, if I remember right. If I was listening to a stat right, I was listening to something, and I wish I could give him credit because I don't listen to a lot of fantasy football. But I was going through Twitter the other day, and I just happened to click on one of those links like somebody had shared. I'll just go through and I'll retweet everything I see just because, like, why not help each other out as much as we can? And one of those I just started to play, and this guy was talking about how that he was the number one targeted receiver in the NFL right now. And I look it up, and wow, not number one targeted. He's got the most routes run of any receiver. So, the guy's getting the volume. He's out there a lot. You're definitely going to want to play Waddle over Michel. Even though I do like Michel this weekend as a volume play, I think you're playing Waddle here.
I'm gonna go with Sony in this one, actually.
Oh wow, okay.
And so it's not that I think that that having old boy back, Parker back, is going to really muddy it. I don't know that I would word it that way. If anything, it might even actually help free him up a little bit more on coverage because they've literally had no other wide receiver on the other side to really take any of that coverage away. I think I'm going to play the matchup play here, though. And I get that the Dolphins have a nice matchup against the Giants, but the Dolphins have been playing much better, more inspired football lately. I think it's crazy to say that the Dolphins could actually have this game pretty well handled, and it's more of an even game script. The Rams are playing against the Jaguars, and they're bad against all of everything. I would be surprised if they got off the plane without tripping down the stairs. So I'm going to go with Sony here against the Jaguars at home. Jaguars flying across the country. I'm going to fire up Sony and let him just run the ball that entire fourth quarter and get you all that garbage time points.
Fair enough. We got Chris Cooper CPT says needs flex help. Knox, Elijah Moore, or Jacoby Myers this week.
Ooh. As much as I love Elijah Moore, Zach Wilson being in there scares the hell out of me.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then we have the Monday night game with the 300 mile per hour winds. I'm just going to keep upping. Let's just keep upping that number as we go on.
We'll call it Hurricane Doreen.
All right. Yeah. This is a pretty tough one because I think they're all pretty even. As much as I like the touchdown upside for Knox, Myers has been, pretty consistent all year. He gets targeted very well, and he does a lot of that over the middle, the shorter stuff. He does some of the outside stuff, too. But that's been, more Bourne's game. But I think I'm still going to go with Knox. I think that's my play.
Yep. I'm leaning on Knox here too. What do you think, Justin?
If Wilson learned anything at all, it should be that he needs to throw the ball to Moore. Hopefully he learned that lesson. Hopefully he throws to Moore. I think just because of the setup here, like I'm gonna play upside. We're heading into the playoffs. I'm gonna assume you need to win for seeding purposes or need to win to get in. If one of these three are going to score a 2-touchdown game, it's probably going to be Moore if they actually throw it to him. So the high upside for me would be more if you just need a floor play, then let's go with Knox.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not like Zach Wilson wasn't trying to get the ball to Moore. He had 8 targets last week. He just stinks at throwing the ball.
Just
So
can't get the target.
yeah,
past
can't
his
get it
shoelaces.
to him. He also throws it into running backs' backs.
Yeah. At the loaded cannon says
They're not
pick
called
2.
running fronts.
Touche. The loaded cannon says, and that made me rethink life as I know it. The loaded cannon says pick 2. Matt Breida versus New England, Collins versus San Francisco, or Drake versus Washington. I hate the Drake. I like Drake.
They're talking about Adrian Peterson potentially getting carries, right? Like this week. That tells me just how confident they are in Alex Collins, and I don't understand why. It's not that he's been bad; he just hasn't been great when he's had the opportunity. So
he has been bad. Have you actually watched it?
Yeah. I mean, this year more so, I guess. But
that's the year that counts. He didn't even play. He wasn't even in the league last year.
From well before we went to prison. He's
but did you watch Adrian Peterson's -4 yards per carry this year?
Right.
True.
I don't know. I think, but you're picking 2. I'm going to go with Breida and Drake. No matter how good Alex Collins has been in years past.
he was half decent one year, and then everyone drafted him in the 3rd round, and he took a giant dump that season, and then that was it.
What's funny is I think this was almost a relevant question back then too. Like just different teams.
Yeah.
Like, all these players are old. We got a kid named Brian. He says, to start, Minshew or Russ? That is the question.
Russ, dude, Minshew sucks. Stop.
Yep.
I know he's probably going to get some fantasy points for you here and there, but come on, man.
Let's throw a football over a mountain. I've seen it on his home videotapes.
Yeah, but it's going to be over the Appalachian Mountains, and he was aiming for the Rockies.
Yeah, fair enough. Touche.
Yeah, I don't know how you cannot start Russ.
Yeah.
Over Minshew. Yeah.
Did you guys see that the meme that was going around with Tiger Woods' his mugshot, and they're saying Russ Wilson this year? Oh man,
I had to look at it twice.
Bro,
was he out drinking that? Oh no, that is Tiger Woods. That is.
I was like, man, Russell Wilson looks haggard, man. Like I was like, oh no, that's just Tiger Woods, and I'm like, oh man, that's the bummer all in its own.
It was the eyes, man. It was the eyes.
Right. At Mararod 729 says Josh Reynolds, Boston Scott, Ty Johnson need 1 PPR.
Okay. So I wish Boston Scott was playing the Giants every week, but I'm still going to roll with him this week. I know he was sick all week though. Actually, now that I think about it, I forgot he was sick all week. He was
sick all week.
It's questionable for today. Probably still going to play. Maybe. Yeah, I think I just talked myself into Ty Johnson, and I don't like it, but I'm going to go with Ty Johnson. I think Reynolds could potentially have a game, but give me the running back in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was liking Boston Scott, but like you said, he wasn't feeling well this week, and they weren't even sure if they were going to activate him have him on, dress him for today. But he is playing, and they do like to run the ball. I don't know, and I think I'm going to have to stick with Boston Scott here. As much as it kind of pains me to force him, because I feel like I'm forcing Boston Scott into the start here. Right. But I think you're
forcing any of them in this situation.
Yeah, I guess so. I think I'd still stick with Scott. I have him going in a couple places over similar, options, just because I think there's the volume. I think the volume will still be there for him to get a decent amount of work,
And so for me, I really liked what I saw out of Josh Reynolds last week. I thought that he was getting out there. He was getting all the targets on that team. I think he looks really good as a wide receiver 1. I don't really like the fact that Goff's throwing to anybody out there, but if he's going to be throwing to somebody, it's probably going to be Josh Reynolds. He was getting the majority of the targets over there. So for me, Boston Scott being sick all week kind of makes me cautious. Ty Johnson I just don't like how much I'm watching Tevin Coleman. And this really, really, really cracked me up right here. The Rough Tiger meme is like that happened in our private chat over here on the side and about lost it on you guys right there. Chris Eaglin 7 says it's come down to this, guys. Ramondre Stevenson or Tevin Coleman PPR. Who do we play?
I had this same dilemma and I have no idea, so I'm gonna let you guys talk it out.
It's Stevenson for me.
Stevenson for me, it's not even really all that close. I don't like Tevin Coleman. I don't think that, like I said, I mean, he's playing enough where I don't like Ty Johnson, but I don't like Tevin Coleman. I don't like Ty Johnson. I don't like either one of those guys. Ramondre, I believe is going to play this week. I do like it, but like I said, if you can and go get Brandon Bolden, drop Tevin Coleman for Brandon Bolden. I'm perfectly okay with that. And then playing your option Monday night if you don't have a guy to play, if Stevenson sits out.
Yeah, no, I think it's Stevenson pretty easily. Like you said, I don't like Tevin Coleman. You know, he was nice as like a flex player when he was in Atlanta, you know, behind Devonta Freeman. It was a nice, you know, he had a good floor, but ever since then, he's just been kind of meh. You know,
16 carries for 67 yards. I get it was against Houston, but it's not like Philly's defenses are world beaters. I mean, without Carter back there, I just feel like he is the number one in that offense. At least it's something. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to just like look past it. That's why I'm having the same dilemma. And
Miles Gaskins is the number one in Miami, and I like him more than I like Tevin Coleman. And you know how I feel about Miles Gaskin. Like it's just like it's just. I mean, to me, Tevin Coleman is just not a guy you can rely on week to week, especially when we've been seeing what Ramondre Stevenson can do, knowing that this is probably going to be a very run-heavy specific game. To me, it's volume. To me, it's the ceiling is there. To me, the floor is even a little bit higher for Ramondre. And again, I mean, for me, I'm backing that up. I'd go as far as to drop Tevin Coleman and grab Brandon Bolden off the waiver wire if he's available, just to shore up that play, because I like the play against Buffalo.
So if Bolden is not available, are you still that confident in Tevin Coleman or in Ramondre over Tevin Coleman?
So there, I mean, like I'm really gonna have to look into the injury before I make a decision there. Being a Monday night, that's pretty rough. But you definitely want to play Tevin Coleman if you can't find an option.
I feel like Belichick would be insane to healthy scratch Ramondre. But
yeah, I agree. I don't think that he's gonna. But I mean, like I think especially in this situation,
and he still keeps doing it.
Yeah, but he hasn't done it in
3 weeks.
In a while. Did he? No, he hasn't done it in like 5 or 6 weeks.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it was like week 7 against the Jets was his last healthy scratch.
I'm thinking of Zach Moss.
Yeah, that's why when you brought it up earlier, I'm like, that's a really like obscure hypothetical, you know. I think Ramondre's he's been playing great, you know, maybe not getting
Zach Moss for a second.
Yeah, maybe not getting as much of the volume in certain situations, you know, when they have to go to the air, you know, more. But I think because it's going to be a ground game, Bill's going to have every running back they have on the roster, you know, available and run them all into the ground.
Yeah, he does look like he's playing. I was kind of wondering that too. I was like, maybe
he's not even questionable.
I thought I missed something, honestly. I thought there was something I missed out there.
Well, that's when you said I had to check the injury. I pulled him up right away. I'm like, I don't think he's injured. But
this, I mean, hands down to me is Ramondre Stevenson. It's not even close anymore. Dustin Hetra says Minshew or Tyrod Taylor at Superflex, and for me, I'm leaning Tyrod here. How about you guys?
Agreed.
Yeah,
that garbage time points I was talking about earlier, I think, is actually going to be a thing. So
Minshew will throw it over a mountain, but that doesn't give you any fantasy points, unfortunately. Yeah. So
I think the only quarterback I'm playing Minshew over is Zach Wilson, and it's literally something that I had to do this week. I had to get Wilson because he was the only guaranteed starter in Frankenstank on the waiver wire, so I had to like blow my fab on Zach Wilson just to make sure I had, because my only other quarterback is Aaron Rodgers right now. And well, I had Cam Newton too, but they were both on bye this week. So I picked up Zach Wilson. And then this morning, as soon as Jalen Hurts got ruled out, I went on immediately and got Minshew because I think Minshew has a better day than Zach Wilson, but that's not saying that much.
I don't think I hate Minshew and Frankenstein because of those big play bonuses.
Right. Yeah, he's good for those probably more than anybody else out there. Uncle Steve says Latavius Murray or Josh Reynolds today. And I think I like Latavius Murray enough today to actually get him involved. And I'm actually I'm gonna lean him. I'm leaning Latavius.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I kind of like his matchup against the Steelers. I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier. So I think I'm going to go with Lat Murray as well. Josh Reynolds did have a decent week last week, but I'm not sure that we can trust that week in and week out. And Lat Murray, even though he's not necessarily going to have a huge week in and week out, he's got that decent floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna be I'm gonna go with Josh Reynolds. It seems like Devonta Freeman has that backfield locked up, for the majority of the volume. And against that, the Pittsburgh run defense hasn't been stellar as of late. So maybe he gets a little bit more work, but I think it's going to be mainly Freeman. Ever since Murray had to miss time for that injury, they like what they see in Freeman. I guess he's best of the bottom of the barrel when it comes to running backs, but he's been getting touchdowns. He's been getting the volume. He's been a decent piece out there. Even in fantasy, I've been running him out in a couple leagues. Not even as in desperation, just because he has been a decent volume play. So that kind of scares me off of Latavius Murray. So I think I'd go Josh Reynolds here, and that's only because of what Mike said earlier. When he kind of talked into Josh Reynolds, I think. I agree with him there that he is the best option in the passing game there. So I'm gonna go with Josh Reynolds, but I got outvoted. So
thank goodness. Joseph Clark says, "Don't be shocked if Devonta Smith has a better game with Minshew instead of Hurts." I can definitely see that because he'll hyper target Devonta Smith, whereas to me Hurts is a better quarterback, kind of like the only time where Hopkins hasn't been very valuable, DeAndre Hopkins, is when Deshaun Watson was starting to be a good quarterback and not hyper targeting him and actually spreading the offense around. And that's when, oddly enough, Houston became a winning team. And I feel like Hurts is a way better quarterback. And so, yeah, Minshew will definitely get out there. He will definitely hyper target Devonta Smith. I think I actually really like Smith as a DFS play today. I'll probably be changing up a couple of lines to include him. You got something to add there, Alex?
Yeah, don't forget he had that blow up on the sideline last week too, and I think they're gonna, this is Devonta Smith had the blow up on the week, or he's throwing his helmet because he was just, it to me it just seemed more like competitive frustration. Like, dude, right. I'm out there, I'm getting open, I'm open all the time, and he really is. He is. That kid is a stud.
I like my player to have those kind of fits on the sideline. If you do it right, and you're just mad at, not getting in your teammates' faces. But I like a guy that'll throw his helmet on the ground and be like, God damn it, get me the ball more.
Yeah,
because I'm a game changer. So
yeah, I think that happens this week. I think he does get that hyper target. Him and
Squeaky Wheel will get the grease.
I like it better when they try to fight the kicking net, personally.
was that Odell? Is that who that was?
Yeah. I like it better.
Antonio Brown's given us a lot of wonderful moments as well, too, so we can't forget him. Kennard Sports says, pick 2, Cordell Patterson, Elijah Mitchell, or Antonio Gibson today. Alex, we're going to let you lead this one off.
Oh, well. All right, so definitely Cordell Patterson for me. And I think I guess it comes down to matchup for the other two because they're pretty, they both get about the same amount of work. Elijah Mitchell's been doing a little bit more with it. But they and who are they playing? Seattle, and then Washington's playing, I should know this by now, at Las Vegas. Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with Elijah Mitchell. He has been a stud when he's out there. He's the only running back that gets work when he's out there for the 49ers. So I think I'm shooting, the full volume upside with Elijah Mitchell over Gibson there. Oh, but didn't McKissick's not playing now either?
Yeah, McKissick's out this week. So yeah, to me, it's Patterson, Gibson, slam dunk, pretty easy for me. But go ahead. That's
It's definitely Patterson. And then I think it's just whoever you feel more comfortable with, because I think I think all three of them are pretty slam dunk,
like we were saying before the draft even happened, Cordarrelle Patterson over Antonio Gibson all day. He's the slam. No, not really. Nobody was saying that. How crazy is it that Cordarrelle Patterson's the no-brainer on this one? You have to start Cordarrelle Patterson because he's too solid. And for me, Gibson with McKissick out, I just like that volume.
Yeah, so Mike says Patterson, Gibson. Alex says Patterson and whoever you're comfortable with. So I'll just keep it easy and go Patterson and Gibson, just so that we don't have a.
I thought you were going to go Mitchell and Gibson just to be a jerk right there, and that would have been awesome.
No, I should have, but just like you said, you can't bench Patterson.
No.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We got Katie James. Yeah, I almost said that way wrong. I have to start 2 out of Myles Gaskin, David Montgomery, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, and Brandon Cooks. So who never Gaskin, right? That's our theme here.
Hashtag never Gaskin.
Hashtag never Gaskin. Now who else we sitting out of this? We got to sit 2 more.
I think with Brandon Cooks he was another one who was sick during the week. They weren't even sure if he was going to suit up today. So I think that kind of bumps him back. So I'm going to go David Montgomery, and we've been talking about him all day. Without Debo on the field, I feel like Ayuk's going to get plenty of work, and he does a lot when he gets work. So I'm going to go with David Montgomery and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same.
I'm locking that one in as well. I like it. We got at G51 Cook. Please help. He said this one could determine who gets in the playoffs. Should I start Dawson Knox or and I can't remember what he put on his Twitter, but it was not Logan Thomas. Oh, Lance Thomas. He said Lance Thomas at tight end, and he goes, will you please make sure that you say it right at least? And I'm like, thank you for the heads up, because I'll Ron Burgundy that shit every single time. So we got it right in here. For me, Dawson Knox. How about you, Justin?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Dawson Knox. As much as I love Logan Thomas, and honestly, Logan Thomas came right out the gate and was being targeted, and he was just that 1 inch from that football barely touching the ground for him to have a really big game, his first game back. So, but I think I'm still going to go with Knox. I think with both of them being pretty equal, I think I want the guy that's been out there and fresh. So, yeah,
I'm going to go with Knox as well. Again, it's just hard for me to sit someone who's been such a touchdown machine this year. So.
Absolutely. So that's 3 for 3 on that one as well. At Sergio C says Josh Reynolds, Rashad Bateman, or Laviska Shenault. Pick 2, full PPR. Who we sitting in this group?
I think Josh Reynolds is the sit here for me. Bateman has been coming on real strong ever since he came back from his stint on the IR at the beginning of the year. He loves getting first downs. So if you have a first down, bonus too, his first 9 catches in the NFL were for first downs. So, you like that, especially when they, when you have that possession kind of guy. But yeah, and Shenault, I mean, there's no one else, with Agnew going down. He got a little bit more work last week. I feel like it's only going to keep, adding to it. So, I wasn't super high on Shenault coming into the season, but at this point there's, they're running out of options. So I think I'd go with Bateman and Shenault.
So every single week that I think that it should be Shenault, he continues to really upset me, and I'm tired of it. I'm done with being hurt by Shenault. I was one of the guys that was high on him to start the season, and I still kind of believe firmly that if ETN would have stayed healthy and they could have had that 2-back combo, and then they would be able to utilize Shenault in a little bit different way, like they had planned on, and I think Shenault would have had a much better season. But unfortunately, he's not. They're not able to, or at least maybe they are able to, and Urban Meyer is just not utilizing him like he should. But either way, Shenault just isn't performing. The thing that frustrates me about Bateman is that he can't find the end zone. So far, he hasn't had a touchdown all season, and like you said, he's getting first downs. He's racking them up. He's about to blow one up. So you want him in your starting lineup if you can for that game when he does break that and he gets that positive regression. So then Josh Reynolds. I mean, I think for me it's going to be Reynolds and Bateman.
Same here. I like it. We talked about earlier about how much I like Josh Reynolds and his usage. And I'm with you on Laviska Shenault. As much as I want to say him here, as much as I preached him in the offseason and everything like that, because to me, he is an elite talent. But we're just not seeing elite talent come out of this guy. And it's just, I think it might be a little bit too soon for Trevor Lawrence's, might be one of the biggest problems with Laviska Shenault, but I definitely am going to keep my eye on this combo for the years to come, because I think if they can keep Shenault around, which if he keeps pretty minimal usage, there's not going to be a whole lot of people knocking down the door to grab him. So I feel like that's a pretty good play. But I'm also out on Shenault this week as well. That one Grave 74 says Lockett, OBJ, or Miles Sanders at the flex, full PPR.
I think it's Lockett for me. I'm not, and maybe this is a bias thing for because I'm not a big fan of Miles Sanders. They are running the ball like crazy, but they were doing a lot better in the run game when Sanders wasn't in there. When it was freaking Jordan Howard and Boston Scott. But I think in a PPR, because they don't really trust Sanders with those on the passing downs. I think I'm gonna have to go Lockett. Like I said earlier, I think Russ, he's another week removed from that, finger injury. I think he's starting to, get figuring it out a little bit more. He's only off by a little bit, so I think this is the week he comes around. So I'm gonna go with Lockett.
I think 9 times out of 10, I'm going with Lockett as well. But for this week, I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I think, just like you said, they've been running the ball a lot because they've been effective, and they've been more effective running the ball without Miles Sanders. So it kind of makes sense why you would run the football more. But against the Jets, I think they're still going to try to keep that run game going, and especially with Gardner at the helm. I think this could be a big opportunity game for Miles, and if he can do anything with it, he'll have a decent game.
Yeah, I'm actually with you, Alex, on this one. I think Lockett's my guy here. I think Russ Wilson is starting to get his finger a little less like Urban Meyers in his nether regions, and he's starting to get it more like Russ Wilson and up in the upper part where he needs it to be, and starting to get those bombs out there and turn Seattle around and get them. Who's always good for a final run stretch is Russell Wilson. Every single year we count him out. Every single year Seattle somehow makes the playoffs. They might not make it deep every single year, but they're usually at least always in that mix there at the end of the year. So for me, it's Lockett as well, although I do agree, Justin. I think Sanders is a fair play today. It's just I like the volume play I've seen out of Lockett the past few weeks. And I think Russ has himself a game, especially, he saw that meme, and he's like, all right, it's time. It's time to start drinking some Gatorade and get my life back together. We got our man Alex asking Sutton versus Kansas City or Stevenson versus Buffalo. And I mean, for me, I'm still Stevenson. Like, he's got the volume play for me. I really like Stevenson this week. What do you feel, Justin?
Even with me having my concerns of Stevenson with that split, I still I've never really been all that big on Sutton, and I know I'm in the minority, especially in this group on Sutton, but I'm going to go with Stevenson.
Yeah,
get a time machine and put Mac Jones back there, and I bet you love Cortland Sutton. But go ahead, sorry, Alex.
or quarterback, really. Hell, Gardner Minshew back there. I might,
yes.
just because he's not that accurate doesn't mean that you can't still have a good play from a good quarterback. He just needs a quarterback that's willing to try to get the ball to him.
Yes.
Yeah, my biggest concern with this one, I know Sutton has been, pretty much all the Denver pass catchers have been kind of, down these last couple weeks. But they're playing Kansas City, and Kansas City has come back to, they're looking more like the Kansas City Chiefs we know. Mm-hmm. So my contention with it was that, I think they're going to need the passing game this week. So that's where it got kind of close for me. But I think I had already talked myself into Stevenson. I just kind of wanted to get, another set of eyes on it. And because it was getting, in my mind, it was getting closer and closer. But, when it gets that close, I usually go with the running back. So that's what I had decided. But I kind of wanted to hear what you guys said.
Well, Kansas City's defense has been turning it on lately a little bit too. So, I mean, there's another pause for me for Sutton as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we also have a kind of a way of looking at this from the math directive as the math teacher here. Like if all of the
Whoa.
Broncos wide receivers are all really down, then what's the common denominator? And that denominator is still back there playing quarterback right now. So
Yep. Yeah. No, I feel you. Yep.
I can't wait till that's Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson next year. That'll be a very, very, very good day.
What if it's
'Cause
Ben Roethlisberger?
oh my God, that wouldn't shock me. With the way John Elway does things, that would not surprise me even in the slightest to see Ben
John
Roethlisberger.
Elway would be
back
out celebrating after that signing.
there. With Joe Flacco as a backup. They'll get them both right there. They'll be like, now we have 2 Super Bowl champions. Here you go, Denver fan. Then our man Justin has need 2 flex, the quarter PPR, Hawk versus Minnesota, Stevenson at Buffalo, Coleman versus Philly, Bateman at Pittsburgh, Bittman at Pittsburgh, if you want to go the opposite on that. And if you respond on his at JustinFF_ Twitter, you have a shot at the free Frankensteak. And I'm telling you guys, the Frankensteak is such a damn blast that you're going to want to get on there. And you've only got about an hour to get this thing out there. So, Alex, I'll let you go first and see if you can't win that Frankensteak entry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know you asked earlier this week or earlier today or whatever, and I'm not sure what I answered, but I think now that we've been talking about, since we've been talking about players now more.
Oh, buddy, I hear you. I'll change my mind
yourself.
5 times in one show.
But
yep.
I think I said Stevenson and Bateman, and I think that's what I'm going to go with now. So like I said, Coleman doesn't excite me, and Hawkinson. We talked about the problems with with him in Detroit, and not getting the type of volume we thought he was going to get, and and he's blocking a lot more and everything else. So I think he's a pretty much pretty auto out for me. So I'm going to go with Stevenson and Bateman.
And I actually agree with that. I really do like Hawkinson this week. I think that he does get the job done. But again, I mean, with the upcoming of Josh Reynolds and everything like that, makes me really kind of feel I need to tamper my expectations out of Hawk yet one more time. And like Nate said, TJ Blockinson would be the way better name. And like Justin was saying, the guy is just getting schemed on that line so dang much that you're not really seeing enough of it. But yeah, for me, the easy one for me is Stevenson. It gets pretty tough around Hawk and Bateman. And for me, Bateman does have a slight edge here. I really hope that Lamar Jackson starts seeing what the rest of the world sees. And that's that Hollywood Brown is not that good at catching the ball. He is good about getting separation and creating route space, but he's not that good at catching the ball. He has a lot of drops in big time situations where Bateman isn't getting it. And I feel like the volume that we've been seeing out of Bateman, it's only a matter of time for this guy to get a 1-2 touchdown game. I mean, because he's going to be kind of like, to me, I feel like Jacoby Myers is another one of those guys. He sniffed that end zone and he's going to start seeing a lot more because they're high volume plays. I do like Bourne, but I feel like Jacoby Myers will be the number 1 receiver on that team, just not this week. I really like Ramondre Stevenson to be the guy that comes out of there with the highest score. So,
all right, well, fair enough. So if you guys are, if anybody's still watching and you have time before kickoff, log on to Twitter at JustinFF_. Put it in the comments under the poll. Go ahead and vote for the one because it only lets you vote for one. But if I win my matchup this week, just like I did a few weeks ago, I'll be giving away a free Frankensteak entry, and it was at George Reed FF that won it last time about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we have another winner today, hopefully, to get a second Frankensteak entry for next season. I think we've already given away like 4 or 5 free entries as well. So we're already building up for next season. That Frankensteak, we're looking to hopefully have 5 leagues in one, or 5 divisions, I should say, wrapped into one. These are 12-team divisions, so multi-copy league. So a lot of fun. So stay tuned for more on that.
It's
and Steve,
super fun.
Steve, this is my problem, man. I agree with you. This is where I was leaning as well. So
yeah,
now
I will say now I caught it at the end. The quarter PPR skews it a little bit more towards the running, but I don't know. I can't trust Coleman. I think that's where my contention is. I just can't trust him. Even with a volume play like that, and a Jets team that stinks. I think I'd rather get a better receiver, a good receiver on a better team and have the higher chance for, big plays or touchdowns. The Jets could score 0 points today, for all we know.
And the potential heavy rain at the end of the Steelers-Ravens game doesn't skew it at all?
No, because there's still 3 other quarters, even if it starts raining towards the end. And rain is not a huge detriment to the passing game either. It's wind that really skews passing game numbers. Rain doesn't necessarily mean that the passing game can't do what it wants to do.
But heavy rain, that's the part that
it's all just a wet football.
Right. Well, if you guys
quarterback can wipe off their hands pretty quick. They usually have a towel handy or something like that, and they keep the ball as dry as they can. Now, if it continues to pummel down, but I don't know. Like for me, I just I can't lean my fantasy future on Tevin Coleman. I just can't. Like he's disappointed me way too many times in my life. So with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Make sure you get on that iTunes, iPods, whatever the kids are calling it these days, your tablets, your Surfaces, all those fun things. Get on there, give us a like, subscribe, hit a bell, give us a 5-star review. Even if you don't like us, give us a 5-star review and then just tell us why you don't like us. We'll read that stuff on there. We like doing stuff like that over here. Make sure you guys get tuned in every single week. We have so many shows. It's too hard to even name them, guys. There's so much good talent. If you go to our website, toiletsandtitles.com, you'll see some of the best articles in the business. Eric is just dropping article after article. Alex is over there editing. Make sure that they're coming at you, Pierre. We got just a good team, guys, stacked up. We got our man Campy down in Australia. I don't think Campy sleeps. I think he's basically he's just always on, man. He's always out there doing stuff. You got to love the guy at Andrew Campy. So get out there, guys. Let's win this week 13. Let's do it. We got titles to win. 2 more weeks till playoffs. Until next week, we will see you guys later. And then also, good luck this week. And